Wednesday, September 27th. The coach wouldn't let Victor practice today because of his stitches. He stomped away, threatening to go home and pull them out himself. Once again, I got put in his place. I had a couple of opportunities to score against Chandra, but I didn't. Victor returned near the end of practice carrying a super big gulp from 7-Eleven. He stood down in the far goal where I usually stand, and as usual, the ball never went there. He started to get on Joey's case, telling him to stop standing around doing nothing, but the coach soon noticed him and told him to get out of there. After practice, I got my bag and started walking with Joey when Victor fell into step behind us. His boys, of course, were right behind him. Hey, Fisherman, since you're me now, do you want a drink of my big gulp? No, thank you, Victor. What? You too good to drink out of my big gulp? Yes, I am. Tino, Hernando, and Mano started laughing. Victor smiled and continued, Hey, Fisherman, why is this boy always following you around? I glanced at Joey. He was looking straight ahead. I don't know, Victor. Why don't you ask him? Victor tapped Joey in the shoulder with his cup. Hey, yo, why are you following Fisherman around all the time? Joey looked upset. He didn't know how to handle this. I smiled to show him that Victor was just messing around, but he didn't even look at me, and he wouldn't answer. I knew that things were about to get worse. Victor tapped him again a little harder. His voice got a little louder. Yo, I said, why are you following Fisherman around all the time? You his boyfriend or something? Joey turned around him toward him angrily. No, I'm not. Victor ignored him and started on me. Fisherman, you can't take two steps without this boy following you. What's up with that? Is he some kind of fish, maybe? Does he hope you're going to catch him? The boys behind Victor were getting into it now. Victor turned to Tino and said, Who's that fish your daddy has the picture of? You know, that fish picture that's hanging up in the hunt? Tino shook his head. What are you talking about? Your dad? Daddy has that old magazine ad in the wall making fun of Tio Carlos. Tino thought about it and then yelled out, Sorry, Charlie. Yeah, that's the dude. Sorry, Charlie. Charlie the tuna. He always tries to get caught. He always hanging around trying to get into that hook, right? He poked Joey again. Is that you? Are you Charlie the tuna? The boys were laughing wildly now. I spoke in a calm voice and to Joey, just chill out. But he wouldn't chill out. He was letting it get to him. Victor kept after him. Starkist didn't want tunas with good taste, Charlie. They want tunas that taste good. The boys were laughing like maniacs now and slapping hands. Do you understand the difference, my man? Joey continued to stare straight ahead, his face red, his jaw clenched. We all reached the green pickup truck, and the boys piled into the back, still laughing about Joey. We continued on through the stool. He didn't say a word until we were standing out on the curb. So what was that supposed to be? Some kind of initiation or something? Yeah, don't take it seriously. That's just Victor. Did he ever mess with you like that? Sure. On the first day, I went out for the team. And then he stopped? Yeah, sure, he stopped. Joey stared down the street, looking for Mom's car. I didn't have the heart to tell him that the rest of it. Victor might stop messing with him, but his name will be Charlie the Tuna from here on out. Mom pulled up and Joey hopped into the back seat without a word. I got in the front and noticed that Mom was staring at something ahead of us. She pulled up 10 more yards to where Maya and Nita were standing. She rolled down the window, smiled, and said, Hello, girls. Maya smiled back. Hello, how are you? There was an awkward silence until Mom said, So, how is it playing against these boys? I'm not sure Maya understood the question. He answered, Oh, yes, some of them are quite good players. I think it's great that you have a co ed team. I really do. Thank you. Mom rolled the window back up and pulled away. I said, What was that all about? I just wanted to encourage those girls a little. No wonder Maya seemed confused. I said, Mom, Maya doesn't need too much encouragement. She's the top scorer in the county. Numero, n- numero uno. Numero uno. She'll make the all county team for sure. Mom's jaw dropped. Are you serious? That tall girl? She'll be on the all county boys team? Yes, so will Chandra, if she doesn't get hurt. That's fantastic. Does Mr. Donnelly know about this? Mr. Donnelly? Mr. Donnelly from the Tangerine Times. This should be in the newspaper, don't you think so, Joey? Joey was sulking pretty heavily in the back. I don't think he even heard her. We drove the rest of the way in silence. We turned into the entranceway to Lake Windsor Downs and then onto Joey's Street. It was a weird sight. The houses on either side of his were completely covered by huge, bright blue tents. They had signs posted all around them: danger, poisonous gas. Mom tried to make eye contact with him in the rearview mirror. Joey, why are your neighbors getting their houses tented? They gotta get fumigated, he said. Fumigated for bugs. We've all got bugs. You all do? Your house too? Yeah, the whole street, I think. What kind of bugs? I don't know. Roaches? Termites? So are you getting one of those tents put up over your house? Yeah, next week, I think. We pulled into Joey's driveway. I could see the tents better now. They were really big pieces of blue canvas tied together with ropes to hold in the poison fumes. Mom said, how long do you have to stay away when they fumigate? 2 days. Well, you're welcome to stay with us. You and Paul do everything else together. We might as well sleep together, right, Paul? I thought to myself, perfect, Mom. The perfect thing to say under the circumstances. Joey got that upset look on his face again. He muttered, I don't think so, and went inside. Mom turned to me. What's with him? Why wouldn't he want to come to our house? I shrugged and said, I don't know. But of course I do know. Joey hasn't set foot in our house since the day he met up with Eric and Arthur. He will probably never set foot in it again. But Mom could never understand that. For Joey, our house may as well be covered with canvas and bound by ropes because it's filled with poison. Friday, September 29th. Joey didn't show up for practice yesterday, but someone else did. We had been loosening up for about 10 minutes. The starters, including Victor, were taking shots at Chandra in the goal. The subs, including me, were kicking a ball around in a circle. I looked over toward the lanes and saw a white van pulling in. It had two high-tech looking antennas on top, one on the back that looked like a corkscrew and one in the middle that swiveled. Anyway, this van kept driving right off the blacktop and over the grass toward our field. When it got closer, I could see that Tangerine Times was printed on the side. I suddenly got a sick feeling. Mom had actually done it. She had called Mr. Donnelly about our team, or at least about the girls on our team. A van pulled up next to Betty Bright's car, her 1967 yellow and white Mustang. A young guy with long hair and a big camera hanging around his neck jumped out of the driver's side. He set a black leather case down on the back of the Mustang. Mr. Donnelly got out of the other side. He had on a blue suit and carried a small notebook. He walked straight up to the coach, who was on the sideline talking to Dolly. I drifted toward them to hear what they would say. It was obvious that Mr. Donnelly and Betty Bright knew each other. She shook hands with him and gave him a big smile. She stopped smiling pretty fast, though, when she saw the long haired guy's case on her car. She started walking over there just as the photographer closed in on Nita and Maya and started taking pictures. Mr. Donnelly walked with her, opening his notebook. He said, I understand that you have a couple of pretty special players on your team this year. The coach took the photographer's bag and dumped it on the ground. She said, uh huh. And who would that be? Mr. Donnelly flipped back a few pages in his notebook. A girl named Maya and a girl named Chandra. They're both supposed to make the all county boys team. When Dolly heard she yelled over, Hey Chandra, they want to talk to you, girl. Chandra had been focused on the shooters all this time. When she heard Dolly, she looked over puzzled. Then she spotted the Tangerine Times man and the long haired guy with his camera. A look of terror came over her face. She spun around on her heels and sprinted away, right out of the goal, across the field, across the bus lanes, and into the school. Everybody stopped what they were doing and watched her go. Now that there was no one in goal, Victor walked up to the photographer and announced, You must be here to interview me. I'm Victor Guzman, the captain of the first place Tangerine Middle School War Eagles. How do you do? The guy looked over at Mr. Donnelly. Then he said, Excuse me, and tried to get around Victor. But Victor blocked him and added, You'll probably want to get some action shots of me before you do anything else. The photographer stared at him dumbly. Then he stepped back and lined up a picture of Victor, who struck a pose and smiled. The camera flashed, and Victor added, That's Victor Guzman. You know how to spell that? Guzman. Don't you go spelling my name wrong, or I'll have to mess you up. Hernando, Tino, and Mano crowded in front of the photographer next, telling him their names and demanding that he take their pictures. The guy looked over at Mr. Donnelly, who signaled at them to go ahead and do it. Mr. Donnelly said, "Look, Betty, I'm sorry for disrupting your practice. Can I just get the last names of the girls?" The coach still wasn't looking at him, and she still was not happy. "This is more disruptive than you could know, Mr. Donnelly. If you want to run a picture of our team, you should show Victor. He's our captain." Mr. Donnelly replied, "But he's not news, coach. Having girls on the team is news." "Not really. I've had girls on this team for 5 years. Why is it suddenly news?" Mr. Donnelly held up his hands to explain, and the coach looked at him. "You're the first place team in the county. You have the top scorer in the county, and she's a girl." The coach nodded. "All right, fair enough. Her name is Maya Pendhi, Pandhi. He wrote this down. "Great. And what about Chandra?" "You never mind about Chandra. She doesn't want any part of newspapers or publicity, so that's the way it's going to be." Mr. Donnelly nodded. "Okay, I'll certainly respect her wishes." They shook hands again. The guy with the long hair saw this and broke away from the boys. He grabbed his bag, climbed up into the driver's seat of the van, and the two of them drove back to the way that they came. Betty Bright watched them go, then walked slowly across the field and into the school. Victor sat down, so the rest of us did too. Finally, the coach and Chandra came walking out. By the time Chandra was back in goal to start the scrimmage, we had lost about 20 minutes of practice time. Like I said, that all happened yesterday. This morning, I looked on the Tangerine Times in the back of the sports section. There was no article about our team, but there was a photo, the wrong photo. It was a photo of Nita Shirali with the caption, "Maya Pandey leads all scorers in Tangerine County." "Good going, Mom."